Does this illness, does it affect your daily life? What happened and how did it make you feel? What's the best advice you ever got? Has yoga impacted your life in a positive way? Hey, welcome to Sauna Sessions, Tyler Ransom.
Hey.
All right. The first question I like to ask people is, what are you excited about?
Well, first off, this is my first time in a sauna ever, so I'm excited to experience this.
Yeah. Are you hydrated? Are you proper? Did you drink water and you good?
I'd be drinking a lot of water all the time.
Okay, good. If you need some water, we can stop and get some.
Okay.
Let me know.
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
But no, I'm just excited to have a nice conversation.
Me too.
I'm so hyped for this. I'm already sweating.
I know, me too. Yeah. Well, this is the literal hot seat.
No, yeah.
I was checking out, like, man, you got such an interesting story. You're such an eclectic person. You've been through so much, and you're 22 years old, right?
I'm 22.
Or 22 years young. You're a freaking jazz musician, blues. You're a chess player, mixed martial artist, and you, I think at a very young age, you were diagnosed with this crazy kidney illness. Let's start there. What happened?
So when I was about 18 months, I was diagnosed with a kidney illness called nephrotic syndrome. And that basically means that my kidney's filtering system shuts on and off. So my mom took me to the ER. I was a baby, and my whole face was just swollen. And she's like, "What's wrong? What's going on with Tyler?" And we later found out that, I have nephrotic syndrome, and my kidneys basically weren't filtering properly. That basically means I pee out all the good stuff my body needs, and all the bad stuff stays in my body. So this leads to things called relapses, which would happen pretty often when I was growing up. And my whole body would swell up. I'd gain 15 to 30 pounds of excess water. So I'd have to go to the hospital, take a bunch of medications, and just pee it all out. But I've had it since I was 18 months, and it's just been something that I've been using as a tool to teach others.
When did you become, so 18 months, you're not really communicating, but so do you remember the first time where you were told that you had this, and how did it make you feel?
My first memory with it really was probably when I was in elementary school, and it wasn't even in the hospital, actually. It was on the handball courts. And it's because I had a relapse that day. And I remember a kid at school called me Mega Mind. That's when I first realized I could use it as a learning tool, but it also made me realize, okay, so I am a bit different than everyone else. And I think that then was the first domino for me to really think of it and be like, how can I use this as a tool to educate others? Because I know others are feeling the same thing that I am.
And that brings us to some of the things that you've created, like Healing Tyler. Tell me a little bit about that.
Of course. So when I was probably in the 5th grade, so like 9, 10 years old, my dad realized I had a passion for mixed martial arts. So him and I decided to create a foundation called Healing Tyler. And the premise was we basically went to a bunch of MMA fighters' gyms across LA. I'd spar with them. Then afterwards, I'd show them the pills I was taking. And it would be our way of spreading awareness and raising funds to help find a kidney disease, to help find a kidney cure for the kidney illness. But
one of the people you spar with, Ronda Rousey?
Ronda Rousey. That one was insane because I remember I went there and I was just nervous because this was my first time just sparring with a girl, to be honest. I was so used to only sparring with men, or just for like 5 years at that point. So this was the first professional woman that I rolled with. And I remember even in the video, you see her, she's taunting me. She's like, "Come on, what's up? What's up?" And I was just like, but it's great. She became she's basically like my best friend.
Awesome. It's a website, healingtyler.com, or it's a foundation.
A little bit of everything. But the main premise it was founded upon was to just spread awareness and raise funds.
Wow. And you've gotten a lot of messages from people around the world based on this?
Of course. When I was in middle school, my dad sent me a photo, and it was this, it's like Comic-Con, but for kidneys. I'm not sure, but it was in Thailand, and they dubbed one of my videos in Thai.
What?
And that's when I realized, okay, so this is big. And then every day after school, my dad would be like, "Hey, check your email." And it would be from kids in India, Thailand being like, "We're living through you." this is something that we've never really had before, and we're living because you're living now. And it was nice being like, I'm able to be that role model.
Amazing. So it seems like, so looking at you, you're a stud. You're in perfect physical shape.
Just
you're
like
actually
Prince.
outdoing me.
Stop.
Which I'm like, man, get out of here. Can't beat me in my own sauna. Does this illness, does it affect your daily life? Do you have to have a certain diet? I know you say you take pills, but is there any other effects as far as your daily life goes?
I definitely have to be aware of my salt intake and my gluten intake and my dairy intake. But growing up, it was much more stricter because I was having relapses much more often. So I'd have like no wheat, dairy, gluten, fats, really anything growing up. So it was really hard for that because I had to write it all down. My parents were always on me. But as I'm in New York now and like independent, now it's more so whenever I get food to cook or anything, I just have to look at the salt intake and
the
that.
Sodium intake.
Yeah.
Interesting. I looked this up last night. Do you know, does the name Linus Pauling ring a bell?
I don't think it does.
So he was I think the only guy, 2-time Nobel Prize winner, and he had nephrotic syndrome. I think it went into remission when he changed his diet. I think the sodium and the low protein intake, and it was interesting because this guy, he got the Nobel Prize in chemistry, and
Nice.
so I wonder if these illnesses, if they only affect geniuses. What do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely look at myself all the time, and I'm like, I'm a genius. That was a joke. I'm not. But it's the people that I've connected with through Healing Tyler that have nephrotic syndrome or FSGS or any other really illnesses, they all are really awesome people. One of my first best friends I met, they reached out through Healing Tyler, and we like would play Club Penguin every week. And they were like, they love neuroscience. And I learned all about the hippocampus when I was like 10 on Club Penguin because of him. So yeah.
The hippocampus, yeah. So what can you tell me about the hippocampus?
That's where like a lot of the action takes place.
Okay.
I think that's where your memory is. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a while, but
I think it's like it's an old part of your brain.
Yeah, it's not like, the front. It's it's like the tiny part.
Yeah, fight or flight.
Yeah.
I think. Let's get back to mixed martial arts, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Now, how has that benefited your life?
Mixed martial arts has been a part of my life as long as I can remember, to be honest. Started off with kinder karate, but then I had too much energy, so then my dad put me into Muay Thai. And then Muay Thai was a lot. And then we moved to Jiu Jitsu. And I've been doing Jiu Jitsu for about 12, 13 years at this point. It's part of my routine, to be honest. It's part of my lifestyle. I can't imagine life without it. But because I got into it so young in middle school, it really taught me discipline. And it gave me a freedom that I didn't necessarily have at school or anywhere else, really. A lot of the early Healing Tyler videos of me on the mat, I would say, like, I feel free on the mat. It's like I'm in a different world. And to this day, like, I stand by it. It gave me an opportunity to express myself through the form of jiu-jitsu, through the form of mental chess and being able to submit your opponent. Because I also wasn't looked at as a sick kid on the mat, taking these adult classes and everything. Everyone would be like, this is the 13-year-old that's too hyper, okay. But it was nice not being looked at by my kidney illness first.
It evened the playing field. All of that stuff was off the mat.
Literally, yeah.
Wow. You mentioned a word that I love, and it's expression. I think in life, a human being has to find their own unique way to express themselves, and that could be through sport, through speech, through poetry, through music, through dance,
through podcasting,
through martial arts. You found a way of expressing through music, which I listened to a few of your albums, and I hear your soul in the music. But then I think, you're 22 years young. How's this guy into jazz and blues? How did this start? When did your love for jazz and blues first begin? And what's your relationship to it now?
It seems like a lot of things in my life took place in middle school, you know, like Jiu Jitsu and then Healing Tyler and all of that. But to be honest, also, middle school band, I picked up the saxophone and the teacher played John Coltrane. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? You know, I felt so much emotion and a love supreme. That's what she was playing on the speakers. And I was hooked. I was playing saxophone for a bit in the jazz band. And also, you know, my hair's short now, but I hate cutting my hair.
Yeah, you
like,
got an afro.
I always have my hair big.
Yeah.
And in middle school, it was like really bad. Like it was like huge.
Why do you hate cutting your hair?
I don't know. I think I just get attached to it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, hair holds memories.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just like, I like feeling like it and like move when I shake my head and stuff.
There's theories on that. Like it's the tentacles, right?
Something like that.
That gives you extra sensory perceptions and stuff like that. So when you cut it, you're like,
I mean, I cut it now because it's super hot.
Yeah,
it was hard though. But so then I had this huge afro, and then people in PE were calling me Jimi Hendrix, and I was like, what is that? Is that like derogatory? And then I went home, I looked up Jimi Hendrix on YouTube, and the first video I saw was him lighting his guitar on fire, and I was hooked. I was like, I need to buy a guitar. Like I need to, not like in an arson way, like I wanted to set fire to things, but more so like he's expressing himself in a way that I've never thought was like possible. Like he's otherworldly. So then I like begged my parents for a guitar. They bought me a guitar, and for one whole year they were like, okay, we're not going to get you a teacher or anything, but if you stick with this for a year, maybe we'll like think about like progressing this. And it came to the point that I'd practiced so much that my mom she'd set a guitar curfew, because I'd come home after school and I would just play guitar. It's like, okay, like at 10 you need to like go to bed. And it became the only thing I thought about every day for a whole year. They got me a teacher, but I was like, I sort of like doing my own thing. And ever since then, you know, the guitar's been a huge part of my life.
Is this the way you feel like you express your heart the most, through music? For
sure. You know, Jiu Jitsu was definitely like a physical form. I feel like it was me in the moment. But whenever I play guitar and I bend the strings and do a phrase that like I feel like embodies Jimi Hendrix or embodies me, I'm like, this is me in my truest form. Yeah.
And so you just dropped an album.
Yeah, a little bit a while ago in the spring I dropped Rosewood.
Okay. Tell me about that album. What do people get when they listen to that? What did you try to express?
I tried to express everything I was feeling. I don't know, turning 21 to 22, which maybe isn't a big thing for a lot of people, but for me, I was like, okay, like I'm seeing my parents get older. I recorded it back here home, so I drove past my old elementary school every day on the way to the studio, and that made me feel a lot of things. I sort of just wanted to capture the whole, I guess the passage of time and realizing like, okay, I'm 21 years old. That means also my parents are also 21 years older, you know? So that was it, like in a tiny nutshell.
Is music like, do you feel like it's funny because I started in music. So I started, it wasn't jazz, it wasn't blues, it was hip hop, and it was conscious hip hop.
Oh yeah.
I think we were a similar age. And for me, music, man, it made me feel free. It made me be able to, because I'm naturally an introverted, you know, I lean towards the shy side. I could put on a mask and play the game.
No, of course, me too. Yeah.
But music was like to be able to express the heart in words and reach the heart of others. It just, I always say, it not only changed my life, it saved my life. Do you have a similar, I guess, connection to music like that? And also, do you feel like music is your true calling? I mean, you can never really know because life always has twists and turns, but do you feel like this is that thing that is going to be here 10 years from now, 20 years from now?
Whenever I pick up guitar, I feel like I'm the same 13-year-old in regards to when I first picked it up. I was like, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. And I still feel that every time I pick it up. So I don't know, it's an extension of me at this point. I really feel that this is what I'm meant to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And you got an eclectic taste too. I was listening to some of your covers. You had like an MF Doom, Jay Dilla.
Yeah.
Like this is like my era. How did you develop such an eclectic taste for music?
I think just listening. With YouTube, there's so much knowledge out there, and like I'd look at like artists like Frank Ocean, Tyler the Creator, and their interviews, and they'd say what they listen to. So then I'd go and listen to every single piece of music by them, and I would just go up the ladder.
Yeah.
You know, I started off loving Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan, so I was like, okay, who inspired them? And I just implemented that with every single artist I listen to.
When
now.
were you born?
2001.
What month?
I was born in February.
February. Okay. Have you ever heard of something called the Enneagram?
I have not.
The Enneagram is like it's like a pattern for humans. There's like 9 types, what they call them, for the Enneagrams. And I think we share the same number for the Enneagram. Like it's a 5.
So
when you like look that up and see if you resonate with it. But the 5, because this is how I was. I was always like, okay, what books did this author read? I love like spirituality. So I was like, okay, who was their guru?
Exactly.
And I think in order to be successful at anything, it's not hard and fast rule, not 100%, but I think it's an intelligent way to really get better at something, to be inspired by those who have inspired the people that inspire you.
Exactly. It's it's opened so many doors for me, and I've discovered so many things by not even implementing that with just music, but by authors and by speakers, and just like implementing it with everything.
Just curiosity.
Yeah.
That's the 13-year-old, right? Like you got to keep that curiosity in life, even as an adult. I think that's probably when you need it more. Like you said, the creative adult is that inner child still there. So if we don't use our creative gifts, I think there's a part of us that's always going to be unfulfilled, you know.
For sure.
Yeah. How you feeling?
This
Speaking of
is
unfulfilled.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh
you
my
do
goodness. I'm loving it.
Well, a lot of fighters, they do it to cut weight, I guess, right? That water weight.
Oh, I need that. Yeah. Summertime.
Yeah. Well, I'm thirsty, so let's hop out of here. Let's get some coconut water and continue the conversation. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about, you wrote a book with your father, and I haven't read the book, but I love the title and I love what it's about. Chronically Positive. Tell me about that. After
healing Tyler, we were getting more and more emails from people around the world being like, we love what you guys are doing. We're living through you both. And basically my dad and I sat down and we were like, how can we keep this momentum, but also keep implementing change in others' lives? My dad loves writing. And at the time, I wasn't the best writer, but I wanted to get better at it. So naturally, we were like, maybe let's just write a book about our experiences, you know, part of it being through his perspective as the parent, and the other part of it being through my perspective as the one going through, I guess, the hospital visits and everything. And the whole book whole premises are 7 steps of staying positive, 7 steps from him and 7 steps from me. And each of those steps are things that we've learned throughout our many hospital visits, blood transactions, transfusions. But they're just things that we've learned on the road that have helped us have our strength and stay positive. And it was our way of giving back to other families that maybe are a little bit lost, that need some direction, that could use these steps. And we put it out and it was number 1 on the Amazon list for a while. And that was really nice. Had some friends buy it, and they were like, we never knew the side of you, like these steps were awesome. And one of the steps, I'll spoil it for you, at least one of them, but it's to find a passion, to live passionately. Because like what we were saying in the sauna, a lot of people don't really have the opportunity or don't take the time to find what makes them spark. And I feel like it's really sad to see, because it's also so easy to not want to. No one wants to put the work in. But my dad and I talk a lot about it in the book as putting in the time and putting in the effort to find what makes you happy, what makes you passionate.
How do you do that? How do you find that passion? Is it about just experimenting with as many things as you can in life, reading as many books as you can? I guess, how did you find yours?
It's a little bit of those things, but for me, it was really just trying. You know, I grew up with family that was very supportive, and they didn't dock me for trying. And I tried everything. And I wanted to be a cartoonist for a bit. I tried that, and I realized that wasn't for me. I tried astronomy for a bit. I got a telescope, and I realized that also wasn't for me. But just trial and error.
Wow.
You know,
you ever heard of Joseph Campbell?
You're saying all these names. I feel so bad. I don't know them.
No, I didn't know him when I was your age either. But Joseph Campbell, he was amazing. So Joseph Campbell inspired George Lucas for Star Wars. He created what's called the hero's journey. And he would, in his books, he would also always say the key to life is to follow your bliss. Your bliss, not your excitement, not your bliss. What brings you that peace, that joy, that inner, yes, I'm here, I'm home. And, you know, certain other cultures, they call it ikigai. What is your ikigai? What wakes you up in the morning? And so you say, try as many things as you can. And some people come to me, they're like, yeah, but I don't know if it's that thing. I love so many other things. I don't know if it's that thing. Well, I tell them, you know, it might not be the thing, but it'll be the thing that leads you to the thing. You know, because I think there's some divine orchestration behind this life. I don't think we can even understand it with our primitive brains. I think there's a blueprint that we can't really access. But I think when we can surrender to that and know that we're exactly where we're meant to be at all times because we're here.
We're just going with the flow.
Going with the flow. That's
Literally.
it.
It's just that.
That's it. Yeah.
It's our 5 steps of staying positive.
Okay, so there's 5 steps of staying positive. One of them is find your passion.
Living passionately.
Do you know the other 4?
We have I don't want to give everything away, but another one is embracing the people around you.
Okay.
It's not those words specifically, but it's knowing the support system that you have.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people take that for granted as well. I don't know, writing the book, I didn't realize how big of an impact my sister had on me until writing and being like, oh, she's been with me every single time I've had to get blood taken, or at the hospital, she like brings my video games. And it took me writing that to realize, oh, she's like, I'm very lucky and grateful to have that. So trying to unlock that with a lot of other people that maybe reach out to me and they're like, I don't have anyone in my corner, but if you look closely, I'm sure you have at least one person.
Wow. I mean, both of these are, so I love to study longevity. What makes a person live a long life? And passion is at the top of the list, and family or relationships is at the top of the list as well.
Of course.
You know, there's certain cultures that in what's called blue zones, or blue zones are places on the planet where people live the longest, healthiest, happiest lives. There's like Okinawa, there's Nicoya, Costa Rica, there's Loma Linda, California, there's Sardinia, Italy. So there's several of these places that this guy Dan Buettner traveled around the world and studied and found. And it's like, okay, what makes them special? And yeah, there's similarities between the diet. You know, a lot of them eat plant-based, whole foods, little meat every now and then. But the main thing that he says, and there was a Harvard study that recently came out that echoed his point. The main thing that he said that leads to a long, happy, healthy life is the community you surround yourself with.
That's facts. I don't know how else to put it.
You're more likely to overcome an illness or a disease if you're married than if you're single. You're gonna live a longer life if you have a pet than not having a pet. So it's not about getting married. It's not about having pets, but it's about having love with people or beings in your environment. And so you say that's a key to also keeping a positive mindset. You emanate positivity. you really walk the talk. I can tell. I'm good
Thanks,
at picking
Prince.
up energy.
That's very nice.
Yeah. And you're very humble.
I get that a lot too. Yeah.
So you told me during the break that you got into doing yoga.
I do yoga in between my lifting sessions for sure.
And so, has yoga impacted your life in a positive way? Is it?
I mean, even in the early days of healing Tyler, if you look back, there are probably a few videos of my sister and I doing yoga with my uncle, Diamond Dallas Page, DDP. He really implemented yoga into us at a young age. And then high school, like I did it not often. I did it, not often enough. But then going to New York and realizing that there wasn't really much of a lifting community or a Jiu Jitsu community, I found a lot of people did yoga that like I just didn't process. Every day I'd wake up and eat breakfast and I'd see my friends were like at hot yoga. And I'd be like, okay, so no one wants to go to the gym with me, but everyone wants to do hot yoga. What am I missing? Yeah. So when I had time between classes and gigs, and I would just set a yoga mat down in my room, and I just did some yoga. I did some things that I learned from Diamond Dallas Page. I did some breathing exercises, but I've been implementing that, and that's my way of meditating a little bit, because it really like restarts the day for me. It puts me at ground zero, and it's been nice. So you start the day with these practices? Yeah, I wake up, I set the yoga mat down, like about an hour, 30 minutes. Wow. It's my way of like, okay, here I am today. Awesome. When the morning conquer the day, I always say, how you start the morning is going to dictate the energy for the rest of the day. So if you start the morning with that centered, aligned and positive mindset, that's going to continue throughout the whole day. That's how I feel. It's definitely played a role in how my days are, for sure. The days where I don't do it, I notice a difference. Got you. There's a documentary that I saw a while back called In the Shed. Oh, word. Tell me about this. He said, oh, word. Nice. It's essentially it's the Healing Tyler documentary. It's a culmination of all the work that my dad, sister, and I have done, I guess, since the founding of Healing Tyler. We created it, I think, during the fall, which my first year of college, when I was away from home. And it was our way of leveling up from, okay, we did Healing Tyler, we created a base. We have the book, and that's brought in more people and really made a change. And then In the Shed was our way of being like, okay, this is everything we've gathered, I guess, from me being a kid to college, and we want to give that to you. Take what you will. And In the Shed basically follows my life. Why the name In the Shed? In the Shed. I was going to hit that too, but I wasn't sure how to format that yet. In the Shed is a term that I picked up in high school from my jazz instructor. And basically, you're not performing well. He'd be like, okay, hit that in the shed. And I'd always be like, what does that mean? It's an old term that a lot of jazz cats would use. That means, okay, don't hit me in 50. I'm going to be in the shed. That means you're going to be practicing for... The shed is what you practice in. I'm going to be in the shed. I'm practicing. So when we were coming up with names, I was like, what if we just do In the Shed? I'm practicing how to use this as a tool to help others. And this is a culmination of all of that. So it only makes sense to have it be, okay, I was in the shed from ages, 5 to, I guess, 19. And here I am now, a culmination of all that. So here is our whole family in the shed for you. And yeah, the documentary, it was beautiful and it was really crazy. It was super nuts, but I'm really happy with how it turned out and the effect that it has had on people. Because even now, I have people that stop me in the pizza shop sometimes that are like, you're the kid that plays guitar, right? My parents were watching that today, and wow. It's so nuts that happens. I don't know. Life is crazy and beautiful. This is awesome.
I love that. In the shed. It reminds me. So I told you I did hip hop, and we would call it being in the lab.
The lab.
Yeah.
I still hear that today.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to the lab and work on some stuff and come back. So it's and I love that because you've personified that into your life. Like this time period, you were in the shed, growing, learning, chipping away, becoming that lotus flower that comes out of these situations, these potentially bad situations, to flower and to just express his beauty and gratitude to all that come your way.
It's a really nice way of putting it all, because that's essentially what it was. It was me and the just blossoming, I guess, establishing those roots for what will be the rest of my life.
Wow. So what's next, I guess? So you've got the Healing Tyler Foundation organization. You've got the books. You've got the documentary. What's next?
I ask myself that all the time as well. Right now I'm very fortunate to be in New York, doing what I love, because I know not a lot of people even get the opportunity to explore their passions if they find one. But I'm making a lot of friends. I'm playing a lot of guitar for different gigs all over the city. I'm going to have some shows coming up. But as of now, I'm just living passionately day by day, playing guitar, having a nice time, going to class. I don't know. That didn't really answer your question, but that's definitely what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I think that's the next step, is just like walking the talk and living it and continuing to inspire, which is what you're already doing. And I think your music is just going to continue to get better and better. I saw I think it was one of your teachers. He said that he was talking about you, and he said, yeah, I'm talented, but he's gifted. I love that. He's like, I'm talented, but he's gifted. And I think you do have a gift. You've been gifted these experiences in life to come out of them and then to share them, to help other people who are going through these situations, and just to be that living model, that mentor to so many. And I think your music is going to be that vehicle. It already is.
Thank you, Prince.
Do you plan, because you mentioned the Jimi Hendrix setting the guitar on fire thing.
Yes.
So I don't know why he did that. I read some theories. He did it because everything was oversaturated and he needed a way to like get people talking. I think somebody said that he did it because I think the guitar was broken or something like that.
I've heard all these theories too.
Heard these theories?
I've been on the Reddit thread, just everyone throwing it all out. Someone was like, it wasn't even a real guitar that he set on fire. It was like one from backstage. But I don't know. I think part of why it's so interesting is because there's like a mystic air about it.
Yeah.
No one really knows why he did it, but you feel the energy. So everyone has their own perspective on it. And that's why it draws everyone in and probably inspires so many other people like me.
Is there something you're working on or cooking up in the shed to like an event or like an act that can get people to kind of wake up? Or?
The first concert I ever did with my first band, Tyler Ransom and the Handsomes, I had the afro, I had the bandana, but I was like, I'm going to play guitar with my teeth behind my hair. I'm going to throw the guitar on the floor and do it. And I did all those things, but I was like, okay, this didn't really have the effect I wanted because I was just doing it for show.
Yeah.
And I had a show last week. I sold out the Bowery Ballroom in New York, which was big for me.
Wow.
But wait, no, the Bowery Electric, not the Bowery Ballroom. They're two. It's crazy. Everything it has the same name there. But there was this part of the show where I was doing a solo, and like I looked at photos back, and my face is like, and I broke a string on stage, and if you told 16-year-old me that I broke a guitar string on stage, I'd be like, okay, that's cool, but like, when do you break the guitar? And I don't know, comparing my first performance to my most recent one, I was like, I'm being my own Hendrix right now. You know, maybe breaking a string isn't the same as breaking a whole guitar, but I felt so much in that solo that it prompted me to go to the lengths of bending a string so much that it broke. And in my own way, I'm living the dream that I wanted to when I was 13, picking up the guitar.
Tyler, let's do a rapid fire game.
Rapid fire.
This game I call the 5 best.
This is too hard already.
No. It's super easy. When was the best time in your life?
The best time in my life.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the first thing that I thought of was my first performance ever with the guitar. My band, Tyler, Ransom, and the Handsomes. We hosted a fundraiser for the Nephcure Foundation, you know, to raise funds for the Nephcure Foundation to find a cure. But that was my first time having my own show and performing with the band behind me with guitar. We had it in a barber shop on Fairfax, right next to the Supreme store. And that alone was insane, having a concert in a barber shop.
Wow.
You know, no one's ever really done that, but that's the first thing that I thought of.
Okay. What's the best advice you ever got?
I know I keep circling back to this point, but it was probably from my father, you know, growing up in middle school and being surrounded by so many different people. He always encouraged me to try. You know, he said no one's ever going to dock you for trying. And I probably said that in the sauna too. I say it a lot, but that's something I live by to this day.
Love that. Wow. Best quote you ever heard?
It was probably from one of my first Jiu Jitsu instructors, Hito and Gracie. And he, you know, we would joke around a lot, but he'd always be like, "Hey, flow like water." And that always got me out of tough positions in Jiu Jitsu. And that's something that I do to this day, not even on the mat, but off it. I flow like water. I feel like if you talk to a lot of people about my personality, they'd be like, "He flows like water."
Love it. What's the best investment you ever made? Like personal investment?
All of high school, or I guess all of middle school as well. You know, I'm an introvert similar to you, but I would never go out. Parties gave me anxiety, and just being in groups that were more than 2 people gave me I'd freak out. But, you know, you could ask my family, I spend every single Friday night and weekend in my room playing guitar. And
that's it.
The return on investment has, I mean, I'm still doing all of that, but the ROI it's been really nice to see. It's been blossoming before my eyes now, but that's probably the best investment I've had.
That's great. Well, just saying yes to you and choosing you, because I have a similar story. I mean, when I was in college, I didn't go out. I went to maybe 2 parties, but I was in my dorm room, just working, just writing, learning, and that time pays off big time. You know, the ROI on that it's invaluable. It's invaluable.
That's the word. Yeah. That's where I was trying to find. Invaluable.
Best book you ever read?
The best book I ever read, the autobiography of Malcolm X. I was rereading that on the plane here. It's still up there for me. I don't know. I was going to say Harry Potter at first, but then I was like, come on, Tyler.
Malcolm X to Harry Potter. You are an eclectic guy. You know?
Oh, goodness.
No, I mean, people don't know about Malcolm. Did you see the movie?
I saw it. The first time I saw it, I was like in elementary school and my dad put it on.
You got a good dad.
And then I put it on again in middle school, then in high school. I was actually planning on rewatching that when I got back as well, just to ground myself again.
But, great film. Spike Lee, Denzel. We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok. He's epic. And I love the transition from him to, you know, when he went to Mecca and he changed into, you know, because a lot of people, they when they talk about Malcolm, they talk about that period where he was more divisive, as opposed to when he got enlightened and he became more peaceful,
more grounded,
and more aware. at the end of his life. So love that. Okay, Malcolm X. Well, speaking of Harry Potter, my last question is the magic wand question.
Oh, word.
So if I gave you a magic wand and you could wave this magic wand at the earth, and tomorrow when you wake up, whatever wish that you made with that magic wand was granted, what would your magic wand wish be for the world?
We touched on this earlier as well, I think, in the sauna, but it would probably just this is so kiddish of me, I feel, but it would just for everyone to be happy. I don't know. Every time I'm on the subway in New York, I look around and everyone's just on their phone, just like neck down. And it's I rewatched Soul on the Plane by Pixar.
I've never seen that, but people keep telling me to watch it.
There's a scene where the main character is in the train and he looks around and everyone is just like glum and just on their phone on the subway. Huh. And he's saying everyone here is so sad. Like, I'm misquoting it severely, but the whole premise is like no one is enlightened here. And I feel like if everyone was happy, the world would definitely be a better place. Yeah. And that's I feel like I could have gone deeper with the answer or anything, but that's the first thing I thought of. And I feel like that's the root of a lot of things.
That is. That's the root and that's the solution. That's what everybody's looking for. You know, everybody, no matter what you do, everybody's looking for how to be happy. Yeah, the world would be a peaceful place, because if you think about all of the issues, the wars, the violence, the division, the racism, the sexism, it's because people ain't happy. And if everybody was happy with who and what they were deep down, we'd have a peaceful planet, heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth.
Yeah. Tyler Ransom, thank you so much for being in Sauna Sessions.
This was so cool,
Prince. This was a pleasure.
This was nice. I had a nice time. I've also never had my feet in. I don't know, the whole interview I've been like this because there are rollers here.
The Epsom salt
so
foot bath. Yeah. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about you or connect with you?
Of course. My @ is Tyler Ransom. Soulful Playing is my guitar. Instagram, tylerransom.com. In the Shed on Amazon Prime or wherever you stream.
Yeah, check that one out.
Media is everywhere. But I want to thank you for having me. I want to thank my dad for making this happen. I love you, sister, if you're watching this. I don't know. You have such a nice community as well. I meant to tell you as well, I guess off camera, but we could do it on camera. I was talking to my roommate. I was talking to him. I was saying, I'm going to be on Sauna Sessions. And he stopped me. He was like, with Prince EA, the guy that did the quarantine videos. And I was like, the quarantine videos? And he pulled up your video of you spoke at the presidential election. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And he pulled it up and he recited it word for word. And I was eating a taco at this time, so everything in my taco dropped because I couldn't believe what I was watching. But he was such I don't want to say a diehard fan.
What's his name?
His name is Hiroki.
Shout out to Hiroki. Wow. Wow.
He didn't realize the community that you've built, I guess, from the ground up. Everyone supports one another. And I think that's beautiful and should be paid more attention to, because you've built this and it's beautiful to see. I keep using beautiful and crazy and nuts. I wish I could use bigger words, but these are like essentially at the root of my being. This is awesome. So thank you again.
It's a pleasure. And I think we're part of the same community now. So wow, thank you for sharing all your knowledge, wisdom, and experiences here. And yeah, let's do this again.
I'm excited.
Awesome.